Hey everyone, Anipod here. So today I'm going to talk to you about week 10 of the winter season of 2025. So I'm going to be talking a bit about the episode that I've been watching and the episode where I have felt that I had something extra to say. So yeah, without further ado, let's do this. So the first episode we're gonna talk about a bit is the episode 10, season 2 of My Happy Marriage, and I made some notes here. So, so there was something that caught my interest in this episode. Actually, it was when the big monster was catching Mio, right, in the garden, and she went into this dream state where both of them drowned in water, right? And that makes me wonder a bit: does she have the powers to like defeat her enemies by transporting them into the dream world? Maybe she's that powerful. That would be very interesting, because I think she will have to be more powerful here from here now, right? Because we got the next problem here, that the one that is supposed to protect her, Kudo, he's arrested by Arata, which I was not expecting. Now I think that Arata is just following orders. Yes, I don't think he really has. He's not an evil person. He's just following orders, really. But yeah, that would create more problems for me, considering all the things going on here and all the threats she's under. So who's going to protect her? Well, that's where I think her own powers might progress a bit more, because right now is a very difficult situation. But we'll see how the upcoming episodes turn out and how she will manage. I wouldn't be surprised also eventually if Judo is released. Maybe this was all just a scam from this other evil guy that says he's the father of Mio, maybe. Um, anyway, we're gonna see it in the future episodes. So that was what I was going to say about that episode. The next episode is, let's see, it's season 3, episode 13 of ReZero. So there were a lot of fights in this episode. But the one fight that I wanted to, or there were different fights at least, sorry. But the one fight that caught my attention a bit more than the others was Garfield's fight. Because first of all, I wanted Garfield to come back because I've been very interested about his story with his mother and his siblings and everything. That's one of the things that's been most interesting to me this season. And now, he had to fight this guy with the many arms, right? And they went down where people are evacuating, right? In like the underground. And yeah, I gotta say, for all the fights, for the fights that I saw in the latest episode, that's the fight where I felt like the animation was so good. Like feel like they improved a lot more on the animation on the Garfield's fighting. And also, him fighting for his siblings, right? That was nice to see. So yeah, that was a good part of the episode. The next one I wanted to talk about is, let's see, episode 9 of Dr. Detective Ameku. And let's see, what kind of notes did I make? Right, it was the part 2 about the leukemia patient, right? And I gotta say, that one was very hard to watch. Seeing, the struggling of him, the leukemia patient, and I think I cried a bit too. At least now we understood more what the angel came from, because as I said before, this is not a supernatural anime, but and there was a logical explanation to it. It was a flashlight and a cup, because the other boys who made fun of him and he lost his hair, wanted to make amends for it. Now, the only thing I was missing was them actually going there to apologize and maybe stay friends with him for his last period of being alive, I guess. But at the same time, maybe it was difficult for them, because they're children, and maybe also, maybe it was difficult for them because they knew that he would pass away eventually, so they couldn't get that deep relationship with him. Maybe that was a fear involved. Now, I had someone say that they questioned why there were no consequences for the boys when they stole like the needles to poison themselves. personally, I think, well, they're children, I don't know what you can do about that. But oh well. And also, I kind of question why there's no staff at the desk. Should always be someone there to, especially when it comes to such dangerous stuff. Um, Now, when it comes to the death of the leukemia patient, the first angel was fictional because of the flashlight, right? But I have a feeling because he said something about an angel when he was very, very close to dying too. So I'm guessing that's where he saw a real angel, maybe before he passed away. And of course, it was very hard also to see Ameku to read the book for him one last time. That was actually very heartbreaking. Um, Very difficult for Dr. Ameku as well, of course. Yeah, I think that's what I can say about that episode. The next episode, I have a few things to say about, and it's episode 9 of Honey Lemon Soda. And one thing that I really wanted to talk about today is how Ishimori's dad behaved. Very, very overprotective. She's been pretty much, daddy's little angel, right? That's how it's been. And I guess he's so used to, that Ishimori doesn't want to bother him, even though she was bullied in middle school, she doesn't want to bother him. And I guess, he always thought that things were fine. That's why I can somewhat understand his behavior. Um, because suddenly when she enters high school and she has much better life, she changes. And because she said before there are no problems when she was bullied, he, of course, directly assumed something's wrong here. And I can understand that. That's where I wish Ishimori would be more honest. But at the same time, maybe it's the dad's fault too, because, maybe she felt like she couldn't tell him, of course, maybe because we saw like in her past too, right? How overprotective it was already when she was a very child. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I'm not fully against the dad. I can sort of understand where he's coming from. But at least the other classmates were able to explain to him, and also eventually Ishimori also told me, I've been bullied in the past. And I think that was a shock to him because, he thought everything was fine. Now, I'm not a parent myself, so I cannot really relate. But I can sort of imagine how it would be like if you're a parent and you think you're doing the right way with your child and everything is fine. And then years later, you find out, oh, she had the hardest time of her life in school or something like that. That would probably break your heart as a parent. And probably, you probably have to carry the guilt feelings or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So I would say that's something that the dad and the mom probably went through in that situation, maybe. Um, Now, the one thing that I want to question in this episode also is like when Ishimori was in her room, right? When the dad confiscated the phone and everything, Miura knocked on her window, right? Or she had like the balcony door. And I'm like, how did he get up there? Because she was like on the second floor, right? And he said when he was about to go down, he was like, I can fly. But did he use a ladder? Did he climb up the balconies? The first thing I was thinking about is like him climbing up, and the neighbors who don't know who he is would be concerned, like, oh, should we call the police? Maybe something like that. So that was maybe a bit of plot hole in this episode, but overall it was a good episode. Yeah, I think that's what I can say about that episode. And the next episode that I want to talk about is episode, let's see, 22 of Blue Box. Right. And what did I want to say about this one? Right. First of all, the first note I had about this episode actually is, quote, enjoyable episode. It was a very enjoyable episode. And I wasn't sure how I would feel about Ayame when she arrived here in the last episode, but I would say she's a very funny character, actually. I like her. And I thought she would be like a threat to the other two girls, Hina and Shinatsu, but it seemed like she's the person that you loves to ship other couples, and that's quite fun to see. Um, Now, of course, we also got the card game they were doing at the end, right, with the cliffhanger, where I think it was Taiki, Taiki, who had to confess who he was in love with. Now, the normal person would say Shinatsu, right? Because that's been pretty much on his mind all the time. But he knows how Hina is feeling as well. So maybe there's a twist there where he says like, "Oh, it's Hina or Ayame." I don't know. Probably not Ayame, but maybe he will start reaching towards Hina. Maybe. We will see what happens in the next episode. And yeah, that's what I can say about that episode. The next episode I want to talk about is episode, let's see, 10. And it's the episode 10 of Momentary Lily. So let's see what kind of notes I made. Right, I made a few notes. And I first want to talk about the revelation we got, because, we always thought that Renge passed away. And there were also the mystery, why did she remember Yuri in her past, right? But now we got the answer to that. Apparently, when there was the other girl that died, and I think, as I understand it correctly, Renge took over her weapon, and because of that, she got the members of the previous girl who knew Yuri from the past. That's why she sees Yuri in her mind. That's how I understood it. Now that makes me a little bit more sense. I'm guessing Renge didn't die. She just has like amnesia after everything that went on. And also now we got a little bit of mystery, which I'm a bit confused about, and it's the duplicates of the girls in the capsules. That's a lot of mystery there. I don't have too much else to say about that now. I'm gonna have to keep watching to see what that's all about. But overall, this show is surprising me sometimes, and this is one of them. Anyhow, let's move on to episode 10, the next one of TASOKARE Hotel. Right, and so apparently there's a link between Masaki, Neko, and Atori, and that is because in the past we finally now know that Masaki at least stabbed Neko. We don't know if she's dead yet, but at least stabbed her, and he killed Atori, right? So now we know that. And also we got something going on with the guy that looks like a monkey, right? He's the one always looking out the window, and he's like, "Oh, I have a way of dealing with Masaki." So we're gonna have to see, because Neko, I think she talked to like the boss of the hotel, and she was like, "Well, we can't kick him out because that's against the hotel rules. No matter who is, he's welcome to stay at the hotel. And if you kill him, he will go to hell." So that's how it works. But the monkey seems to have one way of doing it. Maybe he's like even more evil than Masaki. Maybe that's where they're going with this. But interesting. Anyway, we're gonna see how things turn out. And the last one I want to talk about is episode 10 of Zenshuu, which I recently completed. And the things that I want to talk about here is, once again, this anime is a big surprise. It's been very unpredictable, because if you remember my last preview video, I talked about how I interpret things to be like, oh, it's the director who of that anime that is the one that is copying Natsuko's monsters or whatever, right? And instead of Luke going into depression, it's going to be Natsuko who goes into depression because of QJ's death, right? That's what I thought first. But the latest episode still shows that this show is very unpredictable, which I really, really like. So I was expecting this episode to be like Luke trying to comfort Natsuko, right? But Luke still has his own problem. He's still carrying his own guilt. And there's still this thing going on where he might be the last void. And a lot of more trouble has started to come now, for especially Natsuko. Because now people are in the city are turning against Natsuko, because they're like, well, she just arrived here, and ever since she arrived, more voids have shown up, and she's probably a stranger from the outside, etc. So the only ones who really protect her now is the church of the elves, right? Because they're like, well, they want to destroy the world anyway, so they're like, oh, she's our savior. But the people want to kill her to save themselves, right? And yeah, from what I remember, also outside of the city, there are like 1,000 voids coming in, right? And there are some of the voids that enters the city and kind of vacuuming in Natsuko and Unyu, right, in them, and then people are throwing their stuff at the void, and it disappears, and they think everything is peace and fine and everything, but I don't think that's the case because, as I said before, there's a whole army of voids on their way to the city. So I think once they're probably gonna realize, oh, maybe we were wrong. Maybe Natsuko wasn't a bad person at all, or they're gonna think that, oh, she planned this before she went away. So too late. We're gonna see, but that's very interesting, actually. Um, yeah, I think that's what I can say about that episode. This one has been a big surprise for me. I can never predict when I cannot predict what's going to happen in an anime. It's super good, and this is one of them. Absolutely brilliant show so far. I think that's all I can say about the episodes that I've been watching. Let me just check something. Yeah, so let's do like this. So I don't have anything else to say. I'm looking forward to a new week of anime and see how things turn out in all the shows that I'm watching. And a new video is estimated to come next Sunday. All right. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye.